being a rocket scientist and spacecraft systems engineer, I'm also a fitness instructor. So I do need a lot of feedback on type things. So what does a rocket scientist do?
Talks about science.
You don't say
science rockets.
The science behind rockets, that is a very astute observation, seeing as it's given in the title pretty much. But it's not isolated to just rockets, or spacecraft, or airplanes, or all those type things. You can do rocket science involving all of that. First and foremost, we deal with space. When you think of space, what do you think of? Stars.
The moon and the sun floating around in a big area with stars.
So I set you guys up for this because I put up a picture with like stars and planets and things. So of course, most of you are going to give me answers related to astrophysics. A couple people picked up on the whole rocket scientist part and went towards the rockets and spacecraft approach. Very good. But what else? Any list?
Wormholes, maybe.
Some stuff
to do with planets.
I don't.
Stars, asteroids.
Oh, let's see. What about solar panels? Protective padding for football or soccer.
What?
Tell you some what's. Laptop computers. Little cell phones.
Oh, all this stuff. They all like go up in space.
And what are they called?
Oh, waves. Anything to do with it.
Spin-off technologies. Spin-off technologies are all the technologies that we have designed to further the exploration of space, but have actually worked their way down here on Earth and actually have really helped improve the way humans live, work, and play. For example, who in here has a cell phone? Or a computer, or have used a laptop computer? Okay, all of you. Good. So you know those little itty-bitty electronic components? Those were designed for our Apollo missions many, many years ago to get astronauts, humans, to the moon. We need to figure out ways to communicate with them. We need to figure out smaller processors and chips and all that type stuff to control that spacecraft. And all of that over the decades have worked their way into things that we just take for granted. Does anyone play football or soccer in here and wear pads of some sort or helmets? Well, those compressive foam that's inside of those pads, a lot of that crush core was developed to protect astronauts during landing and re-entry, to take impact attenuation, as well as like for us to put on the spacecraft and protect our electronic components, because like there's a lot of forces being put in when you're doing landing, so you want to kind of like an airbag in a car protect them. So we've used a lot of that and have worked its way into stuff that you don't even think of, but it actually is from space. And I've heard all of you guys know what solar panels are, right? Yeah. You even have some outside somewhere nearby? Yeah. I mean, so you see now here solar power school, solar power spacecraft, you know, solar power cars. Yeah, all of that is stuff that we had done and to do in order to generate power from the sun to get some of our spacecraft to different planets, as well as to keep astronauts alive on space station. They needed a source of power. So the whole space station, the ISS, International Space Station, is entirely powered by solar power, which is pretty impressive. So when you think of space and all the things with it, it's a lot more than just the stars, the planets, the astrophysics stuff. And that's really important because a lot of the other things you work with, if you have an interest in space, hopefully a lot of you do or will, you can take those technologies and use them to improve life here on Earth, whether it be in the mountains or a third world country or somewhere else on the planet. Everything is transferable, and we work with the technology transfer program to actually give away technology for free to different entrepreneurs, to people like you guys will be when you go on and go to college, or maybe don't start your own business and take some of that technology and say, I think we should do this with it to improve life on Earth. And you can do some pretty cool stuff, which is really supportive. Do I have anybody in here who wants to be an astronaut? Just me? Okay, cool. I definitely want to be an astronaut when I grow up. I'm always glad to meet fellow future astronauts. What about engineers? Scientists? Mathematicians?
Nice
we
joke.
don't do math. Oh my goodness. Computer programmers? Okay, well, you know, all those type fields, very, very, very exciting fields that lead you into really cool potential careers. Other stuff do too. Those are some of the ones I like to focus on just because a lot of it's directly relevant to some of my personal experience. What does it take to be a great engineer? To be a great scientist?
Focus.
You need to practice a lot.
Wait, so hold on. First answer, to be smart. Okay, let's revisit this. How many of you in this room think I'm smart? Well, thank you guys. I'm smart because I worked hard. When I was your age, I'll make a bet that most of my teachers never banked on me to get where I am today. I wasn't great at math. I wasn't great at science. They didn't come easy to me. I struggled with them a lot. I had teachers tell me that there was no way I was going to be an engineer. Just because they didn't see my strengths when I was your age. And when I was your age, I didn't have those strengths. I worked at them really hard because I knew I wanted to be an astronaut. And I didn't know how to become an astronaut, but I knew I really liked space, and I wanted to design spacecraft. And the only way I was going to get to do that is if I worked hard and eventually learned math and science. I had to redo assignments sometimes. In college, I had to retake a class or two. That's okay, because I stuck with it. So then that dedication comes in. That confidence comes in, the being true to yourself and chasing your dreams from it. That's what it takes. And it takes two other things. Do I have anyone in here who, I don't know, asks why all the time? Why is the sky blue? Why is there a rainbow? Why? Do you know your mom or your teacher?
That's so.
You know what? Put your hands up really proudly, because if you ask why all the time, you already have what it takes to be a great scientist. Scientists ask why, and they just stick with those whys and keep asking it until they get an answer or figure it out.
Why not fly?
Does anybody in here ask how? How does that plane fly? How does that rocket work? If you're asking how, maybe taking things apart, may or may not get them back together, that's okay. Well, you know what? You already have what it takes to be a great engineer. Engineers ask how and stick with it to see things through and figure out design and concepts of it. So those are very exciting, good things that you're already doing. And yeah, the math and science might need work. Heck, it still needs work for me. But you know what? You can have really exciting, rewarding careers in those fields if you keep sticking with those whys, hows, and not dropping them until you get the answers that you're working towards.